Welcome to my show, Olio. My name is Susan Rushton, and before I go any further, I want to, as always, explain what Olio means. One definition is that it's short for olla podrida, which is Spanish for rotten bowl, which I just get such a kick out of. It's a Spanish-Portuguese dish with essentially everything in the world in it. Pork in all its iterations, bacon and sausage and pig's feet, as well as chicken and chickpeas, onions, garlic, what else? Carrots, pig's ears, did I say that? Beans, onions, and garlic, and as I said, essentially everything in the world in it except water chestnuts and decaf coffee. That's one definition of olio. The other is that olio is what comes in between acts of a melodrama. So you might have somebody juggling, you might have somebody doing a skit, you might have somebody singing, and none of it has anything to do with anything else, and none of it has anything to do with the melodrama. So in other words, it's apples, oranges, and a monkey wrench. So welcome to my monkey wrench. Today my guests are people who are working to change Auburn. These are Wes Woodland, Thank you, Wes, and Ramona Brockman.
Hello.
Thank you, Ramona. They are deeply, deeply involved with the Preserve Dewitt Legacy. And if you want to learn more during or after, go on to dccnorthauburn.org or email them preservedewittlegacy@gmail.com. And they also have a Facebook page, Dewitt Community Complex / Preserve Dewitt Legacy. And there's lots to learn about and lots to investigate. So today, they've joined me to talk about the Preserve Dewitt Legacy. So, what is Preserve Dewitt Legacy?
Well, it's a group of people that have formed together over several years, and its main mission started out with preserving the theater up at the DeWitt Center, but it's also kind of grown in its aspect a little bit to include a few more buildings, which would require a little more negotiation with the county. So it's
Which more buildings?
The former senior center buildings that are attached to the theater, the swimming pool, and the auditorium.
Okay.
So it's a group of people that are interested in bringing those buildings back into community use. So we have Wes, myself, there's the Native Sons of the Golden West who's joined us, as well as other performing and visual artists and other historical groups in the Auburn area.
Other historical and visual artists, for example.
So we have some individual artists
Yeah.
that are part of our group, and then some individuals from some historic preservation groups in the Auburn area.
Okay.
Yeah, former Music and More, that group's behind us. They actually allowed us to host a mixer at their location
Okay.
to kind of launch the kickoff of what we're trying to do and share our vision of where we want to go with it and stuff.
All right. Good. So where do you want to go? What's happened there now? And now it's closed. All that stuff is closed, and how much is what's going on?
Well, you want me to go? Or?
Go ahead.
So, I mean, in a sense, we have phases of it. The county's given us windows to approach it, and so the first phase is the theater, which is super important to me and an investment for me since I grew up working in the theater and the snack bar and running the projector and knowing the Burke family and Connie Burke, bless her soul.
Oh,
and
Connie, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the Burke family and John and Charlene and Rebecca. It is part of my soul, as a Hollywood producer that's had a very successful career, to come back here and try and create an arts incubator for the area. I think North Auburn deserves that.
I like that, arts incubator.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I think that North Auburn deserves that. I think all the energy for the county's been put down in Roseville and in the town's central square, and I think North Auburn deserves its place. And I think there's a lot out here with the Nicholsons and the Glass and all the different people. The beauty of the project is nobody's against it. There's not a single person, and for me, it just comes down to money. We've just got to fundraise. We've got to do our due diligence, put together our operating budgets. We've got to. We're finalizing our 501c. The Native Sons kind of fold us under, but we need to be our own entity. And so all the pieces of the puzzle are there, and we just got to do our work and share the word and get people invested. Everyone that we've talked to loves the idea, loves the concept. I'm even excited about phase 2, which is the senior center, which is 30,000 square feet. I think the senior center, if the timing was right, they might want to come back into it. Which the seniors in this area need that. I'm in my 50s now, and I think it's a great opportunity. When we toured the facility, there's a industrial.
It went on and on. Didn't it?
Well, it went on and on, but the thing about it is that was built by a really famous architect. The buildings are sound, they're strong, they're stable. They just need a little bit of love to being brought back. So there's no reason to rebuild anything. It's just we need to clean it up and make it nice. I mean,
And when you say there's no reason to rebuild everything, there's no reason to knock stuff down.
Yeah. In that
which
sense,
itself is very expensive.
Absolutely, and the cleanup, but just restoration. Bringing that component into it and bringing in, proper architects and designers and stuff to take it to the next level to meet code and stuff. There are some hoops to jump through, but there's an industrial kitchen in there. There's a freezer the size of this. I mean, there's a lot of amazing pieces of the puzzle in there that could then imagine an arts district there. It'd be incredible. For me as a filmmaker, I see film festivals, I see opening it up. Small venues like that are hard to come by, especially with quality audio and quality lighting. There's nothing like that. I've talked to a lot of swimming families. There's such a lack of pools for competition up here for swimming events that they have to go down to Stockton and Modesto for some of their events because there are no pools. That are rated, and this pool is rated to be a competition pool. It's a 25-meter pool that could be saved and could be used like crazy.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm excited about it. I think it's and in my mind we're already there. So it's just a process of getting there. So
it sounds like this is a lot of work, though, and it sounds like that you've come up against some people who have said no. Otherwise, we would be there, right?
Well, the county itself basically has allowed us to do a small portion of it to pursue restoring the theater, which is the first step. But it took quite a bit to work with the county and attend all the meetings when they were putting the master plan together to get to that point. But like Wes said, everyone that we've talked to in the community and even Board of Supervisors in private conversations that some of our group members have had with them, don't see an issue with that. So, the roadblocks are not really quite detailed out as to that. Outside of that, funding, I think, is probably the biggest issue that we're up against. And so,
Do you know how much it would cost?
An estimate from about 2014 on the theater itself was about $500,000.
Okay.
To bring that up to standards to have a nice venue there.
Yeah, and that's less than I imagined. And because $500,000 is more than I have, but but it's an approachable number.
I think you're right. Yeah, it's definitely approachable. It's not something that is pie in the sky.
Yeah.
So I think it's a goal that we can definitely work on achieving in the time frame that we have.
And I remember appreciating the Dewitt Theater, and I note that on your website, I think a website, at least dccnorthauburn.org. I think I've seen photos of what the theater looks like now, which is gutted.
Yeah, it's been gutted.
Which is a good thing, because it had gone into disrepair, just to use one word, it needs help, and that's what your goal is. You don't want to knock it down.
Oh, no.
You want
It's
to shore it up and make it better.
Yeah, structurally it's great.
Yeah.
It's very sound structurally. Upgrades would obviously need to be with electrical and some plumbing upgrades. Naturally, those would be something that we would do, as well as obviously the seats are no longer there.
Right.
But doing a remodel of the interior, and then the hope would be to tie that then into the existing senior center, and that would be the next phase, and just really create a nice venue that could be rentable space. It can have shows and theater as well as movies, and then tie that into some of the uses with the senior center building. There would be classroom space as well as rentable space, that if people want to rent out a portion of the building for an event, they could do that too.
Yeah.
And the seniors definitely seem interested in occupying some of that space as well. I think it'd be a great multi-generational area to really bring in a lot of interest and activity into the North Auburn area.
Yeah. And I've talked to some people off camera who are focusing, who use the word community as a basic thing for North Auburn, and a basic thing for gathering people together, and that that the idea of community is a vital thing. And so, how long have the two of you been working on this?
I've been doing this for about 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and you started, do you live in North Auburn?
I actually don't. I live in the Loomis area.
You live in Loomis.
I do.
And here you are. What caught you?
What caught my attention?
Yes.
Well, historic preservation is something I have a background in, and I actually heard of the Dewitt Theater when I was at a Board of Supervisor meeting about 6 years ago. And so it piqued my interest, obviously, that there was this theater and it was being threatened with demolition.
Yeah.
And so I did a little research into it and found out that it's not just a theater, it's a whole military hospital complex that's up there. So I did a little more research and found out it's pretty significant historically.
Yes.
And there's a little chapel, and there's a few real quaint, key historic buildings up there that would be really, really nice to save and reuse, or put back into use.
Yeah.
The theater was used not too long ago, as well as the senior center. So to kind of bring those uses back in and provide a little bit of community livelihood, and bring people back into that area. There was a farmer's market that used to be at Dewitt, and it's since no longer been able to be sustained, just because the foot traffic is not there anymore. So if we can bring all those community uses back, it really could create a really nice, attractive venue, not just for North Auburn, but just even kind of a regional venue with the history component of the Dewitt Theater and the complex there.
So is in the 6 years that you've been 6 years, right?
6 years.
6 years that you've been working on this, and how long have you been working on this with?
I've probably been pulled into the group for about 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
I'm kind of late. I was in Hollywood and I moved back up here a few years ago. And since I moved back up here, Renee Berg pulled me into it. And I just have a different skill set that I complement the group with.
Yeah.
It's a really great group of people.
Energy.
Yeah. That doesn't hurt either.
Energy and experience.
I honestly have to thank Ramona so much for the work that she's done, the preservation tab. I mean, she's done a lot of stuff, and I'm just here to support her, support the group. I'm really proud to be a part of this group, and be a part of the Native Sons and that whole process. I really, having grown up here in North Auburn and went to Rock Creek and living in that theater, and Evie Kane and Placer and Davis. I think the community deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, the kids deserve that. Like, I'd love to see other kids my age at that time, 13, 14, 15, work in the snack bar again.
Yeah.
I could see a snack bar there. I could see a lot. Like, for me, it's like, I almost already see it done, so it's just a process, and as a storyteller and a person that, kind of has to deliver, these big stories, it's like, in my mind, it's already kind of done, and now we just got to go through the process and, work hard and engage the community. I think there's so many benefits for the community. And just being right beside Home Depot, like, there's just so much good energy in that area, and we're close to it here, we're not very far away at all. So
here is Atwood Road, across the street from Bel Air.
and technically, is this considered North Auburn?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I think it's going to be spectacular. I really do.
You have it built in your head. That's what you said, didn't you?
I do. I already see it finished. Yeah, honestly.
It's with the community, North Auburn Community Center, North Auburn DeWitt Community Center.
Yeah, and calling it the complex. And meeting at the complex, and and just the way that modern digital is. We don't need to bring in big, huge projectors again, like that were in there with the switchovers and the changeovers and stuff. It's. The technology's come so far, and it's affordable. It's not like we have to be crazy, but putting nice retro seats in there. When I put the video together, so if you, shout out to the Facebook, there's a 6.5 minute video on Facebook, facebook.com/DeWitt Community Complex, and it lays out the vision and the history. The history's spectacular of what we've done, and there's only 2 surviving hospitals in the U.S. out of the 16 that were originally built to satisfy the needs of the soldiers coming back from World War II. 14 of them are gone. There's only 2 left. This
is one of them. DeWitt is one of them.
One of them. The other one's in Illinois. And that stuff should be saved. Like, if you're a military buff or when it was in the service, if you go to these videos, the celebrities that perform just right here, it's impressive. What I mean? This was happening.
This was definitely a happening place.
It was the number one employer in Placer County at the time.
Right.
They had, I believe the numbers was there was 2,310 soldiers being, cared for in 1944.
Yeah.
And it had its course, and then it became a general hospital, which Eric Chun, I was able to interview his dad, Dr. Stanley, who's the last surviving surgeon from that. He was a dental surgeon, and just the stories of the chapel, and what's been saved there. The people that actually worked in that space are so happy to see the effort, and I think the community, I don't know, I kind of see it done in my mind. It sounds ridiculous, but we have so much work ahead of us. Our next big thing is going to be fundraising, and and maybe putting on a series of concerts, and the Rotary's really behind it. It seems like there's a need for event space. Spaces to gather.
Yes.
You know how hard it is to book a space for a crab feed, and crab feeds are huge. It's like crab feed season right now. And we could there's another venue for crab feeds.
Definitely.
Among other things.
Among other. But that's a very successful thing up here. My daughter in 8th grade, for their Washington, D.C. trip, did a crab feed.
Wow.
She's now at Placer as a freshman. The music department's doing a crab feed to help fund their Seattle. There's the crab feed's a very popular thing up here and who knows, there are many people out there who are coming up with other fundraising events and opportunities. But to have that space, for me, we're into the county building, so there's got to be high-speed internet in there. Be able to have streaming and people that can come and gather and watch videos and do whatever. I'm a big board game, but it'd be nice to have a little coffee place in there with pastries and stuff. And there's an industrial grade kitchen in there, which gets me excited, because then we can tap into all the local farm to fork people here. All the mandarin season and all the fruits and vegetables and the local beef, cattle, around here.
There's a lot of
there's a lot. I think there's really
potential.
everyone would benefit. When you start opening your mind, it's just not a coffee shop, or a theater. It's an art space. It's a rental space. For local venues. To be able to have it. It's to be able to step on a stage that people have performed in. Will empower young kids. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? If you start putting these young kids on stages that have the history, you know, and we can lay up pictures of all the old performers and stuff and really play up that history, which I like, you know, I think that's a benefit to the community.
Oh, man, these people are a breath of fresh air. My goodness. I have a question here. Why do you think it's important? And I don't need to ask that question because it's clear why you think it's important. Because it's part of the community, part of the community's history.
Yeah.
Because you're saying that the community needs it, and it would help provide North Auburn with a sense of purpose, and a place to go, and a swimming pool to swim in. You just seem really, really enthusiastic about it, and it sounds like there's a heck of a lot of work to go, but you see it done.
I do, yeah. I mean, with the group of people that we have, and just dividing and conquering, you know, everyone's kind of doing their own little piece of the puzzle, and eventually the big thing's going to be fundraising kicking in, and you know, we're hoping that we're going to have some big sponsors step up, and we've got there's a lot of background chatter with Ceronics and different companies in here that really want to step up. You know, Moonraker and Knee Deep, like they're all, you know, Eric Chun, I'm going to give a shout out to him. He's done a lot of legwork really getting the message out. And we really want to infiltrate all the businesses to let them know that this is happening, you know, because anything that we can get, you know, just to keep the momentum going there. Because at some point, right now, our 501c is not finalized, so we can't really start fundraising yet.
Right.
But once that kicks in, we do have some donations.
When it might kick in?
Hopefully days. You know what I mean?
Days, hours.
Days, hours. And Ken Takashimi's taking care of that component for us, and he's a successful.
Ken Tokutomi?
Ken Tokutomi. He's taking care of that piece of the puzzle for us.
Oh, nice.
And we have so many people that are coming on board, and you know, some people have said that this might be a little competition to the State Theater, but it's not at all. They're different sized venues, different sized spaces. You know,
different uses.
Different uses.
Yeah, you know, I think they're complementary. I think the more arts you can have, the better. You know, and for me, I don't really think like it's a need for the North Auburn. I just think it's more of a it deserves it. Like the whole community, like you should have arts in your area. I mean, I think it's good for everyone.
Yes.
You know, I remember Connie Burke and being
Connie Burke owned the DeWitt Theater, right?
She didn't technically own it, but she owned the lease on the theater. And she ran it for 20 plus. Yeah. You know, it was the cheap theater, and she was the noon duty person at recess at Rock Creek.
Okay.
And she was the most giving human being on the planet. She would give out free tickets if you got a B or an A's.
Oh.
So any kid that got B or A's got free tickets to take their family to the theater.
Oh boy.
You know, and obviously her benefit was the popcorn and the sodas and stuff like that.
Sure.
But she was so giving. Oh my gosh, she really helped my life.
Yeah.
You know, as like a really incredible human being.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's honoring her, like and her family. I'm a big fan of the Burke family.
Yes. So it sounds like in the past 2 years, in the past 6 years, you've been enthused. You have cause for hope. In doing this, as both of you say, nobody's said no, which is good. That's exciting. Even though they haven't said yes, they haven't said no.
They haven't said no, and so.
And it's sort of like our parents saying, "Well, maybe."
Maybe.
Oh yeah, that means yes.
Yeah, and I think the real crux is to be able to package this up, put this together, get the community support behind it, and I think that will just kind of snowball and turn that into a yes. Rather than a maybe, it'll really, I think, just become a yes. That I think the apprehension is just, let's see if this group can pull this off.
Yes.
So.
And what I have in echoing in the back of my mind is Costco. but Costco is thinking about going to Loomis.
They are.
I just read that. Yeah.
Yeah, the final ER was
Yeah.
released in
So-
Loomis, so I think there's no echoes of Costco.
Okay.
They seem very committed to the Loomis location.
Although there's,
But, again-
Costco is a good thing. Lots of people love it, and there are other places for Costco to go. And here in North Auburn, it seems, from what I'm gathering, it seems like this is the thing that needs to come. It's that it has happened.
Yeah, I mean, these buildings have always served their community ever since they were built, even though it was for military purposes. The community was always involved and engaged while it was a World War II hospital. Again, the USO shows and the entertainers and the swimming pool, they all had a community element to them.
Yeah.
The military didn't close it off.
All right.
They had
Okay.
many times where the community was invited and encouraged to come out, partially to help with the recovery of the soldiers, and then turning it into the state hospital. It was the same. It really served the community. There was a lot of community involvement when I was doing my research to see how much community involvement there really was.
Yeah.
And support of well, obviously it was the major employer, but there was just a lot of community support for what was going on.
So how can people get involved with this energetic program?
So they can go to the website. I believe do we have a link on the website?
Yeah,
that
every page
us?
of the website has a sign up sheet, so you can get on the list, and then we'll email you as we do events. And
okay. And again, the website is it's Preserve Dewitt Legacy, dccnorthauburn.org. And you can email preservedewittlegacy@gmail.com. This is all very serious. It sounds really serious, but whenever you think about it, think energetic community entertainment, fun, delight, people getting together and having an important time, a good time. Can people donate in advance of the 501c3?
Yes, they can. They can. Right now, the Native Sons of the Golden West of the Auburn Parlor is acting as a fiscal agent. So any donations would be to their historic preservation leg of their group, which is a 501c3.
Okay.
So, and they've agreed to do that until we get our own 501c3
That's wonderful.
standing.
That's very kind of them.
Yeah.
And Ceronics, wow. And Rotary is working
They've
on
all
this.
been very supportive of it.
Oh,
yes.
terrific. That's wonderful.
So, yeah. So we're just, right now, I think we're just really at the jumping off point to really just...
And just at the jumping off point, and you've been doing this for 6 years.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 6 years to get to the point where we could really just start working on the outreach and the fundraising portion of it. Yeah.
Okay, so if people have questions, if people want to donate, if people want to get involved, they go again to dccnorthauburn.org, email you preservedewittlegacy@gmail.com, and go onto the Facebook page, Dewitt Community Complex / Preserve Dewitt Legacy. Go there with money, go there with your legs, go there with willing to work for 6 years. My guests have been Wes Woodland and Ramona Brockman. Colleagues, thank you very much for joining me. And I respect the work you're doing. And I wish you all the best wishes. Thank you. Thank you for
so
joining
much.
me.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for watching.